Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I'd like to discuss something that has been in my mind for quite a while now. How bad really is Arc 3? The fandom as a whole has collectively bashed it and called it the worst arc, but is it really as bad as people say it is? I'll mostly be talking about the things I particularly disliked and some things I found interesting. This video contains spoilers for books 11 through 14, so please keep that in mind. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. The Lost Continent is my least favorite book in Wings of Fire, and that is due to the quick storytelling and less immersive world. There are so many wasted opportunity in Wings of Fire videos I could do, even with the concepts this book introduced alone. The way a whole continent was introduced so quickly really made things not sit well, and the conflict between the Hive Wings and Silk Wings is usually uninteresting. Plus, the reveal of the Leaf Wings still existing didn't come off as a shock because the book barely hyped them up. It should have been a concept introduced throughout at least 2 books, and then the big reveal would come. Sundu and her family were put into the story way too quickly, and the world building and character development seemed incredibly rushed. Plus, Blue is such a lame protagonist. He's basically just a copy of Sunny, except all the interesting aspects of her character were removed. I was honestly disappointed in this one, and it doesn't hold up with the previous excitement of Arc 2. I know they're trying to get us introduced to a whole new continent and new dragon tribes, but the way it happened was just too rushed and thrown together to move the plot forwards. The plot twist felt obvious and quite boring compared to what we've seen in the past. I just can't find myself being attached to anything about Pantala, so this book is a massive disappointment to me. I can understand why people may not enjoy Arc 3 for even simply this fact alone. However, I did enjoy some of the time we got to spend with Luna and Blue. Regular life in the hives is something I need to see more of. I love just imagining the 2 Silkwing siblings going to the candy shop for Luna's Metamorphosis Day, and it was so much fun to see them walk around the hives. Please, Tui, just give us more moments like these. The Hive Queen is honestly an interesting book, but the problem is I can barely remember anything that happened. It felt like filler to me, and after reading The Lost Continent, I wasn't too keen on what this book had in store. Literally the only important part of this book that I can remember is Bumblebee being taken by Cricket, and that's pretty much it. Just like in the previous book, the plot twists were so lame that some chapters were some of the most boring in the series. Katydid being Cricket's mother? I mean, come on, did it even really matter in the story? She knew she was family anyways, it's not that big of a surprise in the end. The way the Hive Queen dealt with the Chrysalis felt kind of off to me, and it didn't feel like a real organization that dragons were devoting their lives to, but rather, it felt like something to direct the story in the right direction. We barely got to see more of it once its members served their purpose to the plot. However, I did enjoy the few moments we got to spend with Lady Jewel and Lady Scarab. I love their sassy dynamic, and it's very underrated in the fandom. I'm glad we actually got to see Hive Wings with a personality of their own, since the series just made them out to be emotionless dragons who disregarded the Silkwing's worth. While it is true for most since they grew up that way and don't know any better, I'm still happy we got to see some Hive Wings who actually care about the Silkwings. The Poison Jungle is a complete filler book to me. We were just dealing with the conflicts of Queen Wasp wanting to mind control the entire continent, and then it cuts to a love story. While I do enjoy Sundu and Willow's relationship and find it to be one of the cutest and most heartwarming ones in the series, the entire book just didn't need to be about it. Every chapter seemed to be just another flashback rather than the characters dealing with the events at hand. The idea of the Poison Jungle itself really should have been explored more, and they could have totally turned this into an adventure thriller book, in which they had to make it through the jungle to find some kind of way to beat Wasp. I may be a bit biased because the Leafwings are my least favorite tribe, but their lifestyle and habitat were just super uninteresting to me. The tribe itself doesn't even have any abilities besides Leaf Speak, and not every Leafwing has it. Also, I know I will get hate for this, but Sundu is just a copy of Tsunami and Peril combined. Arc 3 has the problem of introducing characters who are just versions of previous ones, and it kind of bothers me. Not everyone is like that, but still. Also, I need to say this. Arc 3 has the most boring prologues and epilogues ever. A prologue is supposed to get you excited and prepared to read a book, and an epilogue is meant to get you hyped about the next piece of content. But literally every prologue and epilogue in this arc so far was extremely boring to read. Come on, a few Leafwings and Silkwings gathering around outside a Bloodworm hive. It doesn't even matter to the story, and there could have been a better opportunity to place some interesting content there. The epilogues aren't good either, and they're usually just what's happening on Pyra. I get the reason why Tui wanted to do that, but she made it the epilogue for almost all of the books. Nothing ever really happened besides Moon being really cryptic, and it felt like wasted space. And don't even get me started on Hawthorne. He was a complete wasted opportunity of a villain. I was so disappointed with the filler villain we got here. And that's a video for another day. But this book wasn't entirely all bad, as Bumblebee's moments were some of the cutest things ever. I swear, my heart melted every time she appeared in a scene. She's so sassy, even as a newborn dragonette. I just love her, and I can't wait to see more adorable Bumblebee moments. And you can't just ignore how awesome Hazel is. For being tossed onto the throne with no notice, she's done such a great job as queen. Even though she doesn't think so herself, I'm very proud. Hazel's the only Leafwing I actually enjoy, and the moments with her seem genuine. And finally, the dangerous gift. What a beauty this book was. Contrary to the negative consensus on this book, I fell in love with it the moment I started reading. Snowfall is by far my second favorite character, and I just couldn't put this book down at times. Lynx is a fantastic side character, and every moment we got between the two Icewings was so enjoyable. This book even made me enjoy Winter, and my previous distaste for him dissipated when I saw how tender and respecting he was of Snowfall. The character development was shown better here than in Arc 2 for him, at least in my opinion. While I obviously didn't enjoy every single moment of Book 14, I found it to be such an enjoyable read. Though the plot was undoubtedly filler, it was refreshing nonetheless. If you didn't enjoy the concept of Queen Wasp in the other mind, this book is a great distraction from the hectic plot of Arc 3. I won't go too detailed into the Dangerous Gift because I did already make a book review on it, but this was such a pleasant, refreshing breath of air from the more dry content we had gotten before. So here's my final verdict. Though Arc 3 starts off very dry, it does seem to improve with every book. I have high hopes for Flames of Hope, and I can't wait to read it. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. I know we all have different opinions on things, so please be polite to anyone in the comments and respect what others have to say. This doesn't include the Flames of Hope because it comes out on April 5th in the US, so there's a few days left to wait. I will do a full review and discussion on it once I do end up getting the book and reading it, so be on the lookout for that soon. I also felt the need to share my spoiler policy, especially because some people won't be done reading the Flames of Hope soon, and most have not gotten it early. And for those of you who did have the opportunity to get the book early, don't be that person. Don't spoil. Here's my spoiler policy. I didn't make a community post on this, but I felt like it should be discussed in a video as well. Once the Flames of Hope does release, you must include a spoiler tag in any comment you post here. It has already been released for some people, and even teasing content will get your message deleted. You need to say that your comment contains spoilers for the Flames of Hope, and include the chapter or chapters it spoils. Then skip a few lines and type you'd like for your comment to say. This is mandatory until May 5th. After that, be careful of minor spoilers in the comments. Do not obey the tagging rule, I will delete your message. It would be considered to tag major spoilers, plot twists, important story elements, character deaths, etc., even after the tagging rule. This goes for other Wings of Fire books as well. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.